Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and today, as anybody following my channel knows, I've been massively neck deep into research mode at the moment, which has me kind of nose deep in stuff, mostly surrounding Eudes Picard and his system of minors. That's my current obsession, everything Picard and learning. And so obviously, because his system is, he's really focusing on the minors, I've also been obviously looking at the minors a lot and coming up with the basic keywords. Thankfully, I was able to find his text in French and with a lot of Google translating. Really be able to pick up on the actual words that he used, which helped because he used repetitive words throughout the suits, which helped to really quite simply come up with some basic keywords that I would use for his. For the Rider-Waite-Smith, so what we have here is Yoav Bendov's version of the Conver Tarot, which would have been produced in 1760. This is the CBD Tarot, where Yoav Bendov went through and cleaned up the lines and the colors, but remained true to the Nicholas Conver's 1760 version of the Marseille. So that's what we have up here. Here we have Picard, who wrote his book about the miners in 1909. Obviously, he would have been working on it before then, but that's when he actually, the book was published. And then we have the Rider-Waite-Smith, which would have also been published around the same time by Arthur Waite. I'm using the keywords here from Annabelle Wen's Holistic Tarot, and of course what I just explained, how I came up with the Conver keywords, and then I'm using from Yoav Bendov's the open reading. I don't know if he actually, I had a while ago read this and came up with my own keywords. I didn't re-look to see if there was an actual like number chart. I'll have to reread this, but for the purpose of this, I've just sort of came up with my own keywords. I really love this book. Have I mentioned? If you're looking for a Marseille book, I would say start here. Tarot, the Open Reading by Yoav Bendov. If you're looking for a all-inclusive book on, traditional, definitely Annabelle Wen doesn't take, she notes that she definitely comes from the school of Rider-Waite-Smith and, Holistic Tarot. I've had the digital version of this since it came out, but I just picked up the actual version. I'm going to do a different book on video on my primary books for all different things, but that would what I recommend for that. Of course, I don't recommend any for Picard because you can't find them. So of course, I'll know I have my Book of Divination, which has all different divination systems. I'm still having to put this, although now I'm working on a full book of geomancy, but I do need to put the basic correspondences into here. And so then I just added a table which has, I've got numbers 1 through 10. You have the, again, the Marseille, the Picard, and the Rider-Waite-Smith. I do want to point out that numerology, because people have often asked me, like, what's a good book for tarot numerology? I don't know of one, to be honest. There is a difference between, let me see if I can find it quickly here. If you get a book on numerology, which I do have, and I have worked with actual numerology, where you're doing life path numbers and things of that nature, your year number, your life path number, and I use life path numbers a lot in my practice, just to kind of key in. Let me find it here. And I actually do use, I use Annabelle Wen's And she does have, her appendix I think is worth the price of the entire book. But I do use her leader, minister, communicator, architect, pioneer, nurturer. This, her set of life path number correspondences I have been using since this book came out. I absolutely love them. And she just has more about name correspondences and those kinds of things. So that style of numerology is really not the same as numbers as correspondences in tarot. And so it's a little bit, I've not found a straight up book on numbers in tarot. You generally will find it to greater or lesser degrees in the guidebooks themselves. Again, Holistic Tarot does have a couple tables and sections on numbers in tarot. Yoav Bendov has a really great section on numbers for Marseille. So you'll really almost have to find those kind of resources versus a straight up numbers in tarot books. If anybody knows of one, please put it in the comments. I'd love to take a peek at it. So I just wanted to kind of show, we've kind of been looking at different things, comparison, comparison across time, really in-depth kind of comparison, look at the Picard system because that's my obsession. And so I just, continuing these kinds of comparison themes, I wanted to show the one aces through tens in kind of these three systems. And this is really because it fascinates me. So here, let's start up here with the Marseille, right? So I love what, a lot of people, there's a lot of discussion, not a lot, but there's some videos starting to pop up about Marseille reading and the understanding that there is more happening in Marseille than just 4 coins or 3 coins. You actually can see, so for example, well, here we just have our aces. Those are pretty similar along all the systems. It's a single coin, it's a single object. It is the beginning, the potential. Picard talks about it as the principal energy. For Rider-Waite-Smith, again, we're talking about the beginning. That's pretty simple, right? Then 1 becomes 2, and we have duality and polarity. And for Bendov, we have a sense of interaction between 2 forces such as earth and air here, but there is an interaction of energy here in the Picard that's quite beautiful, and there is a sense of balance in the imbalance and balance ideas in the Rider-Waite-Smith. When we go to the 3s, we can actually see through these vines or flowers, these here, you can see that sense of growing. You can almost think roots and growing. You definitely see it in the Picard. Roots to these 2 energies here have grown something new. There's growth coming out of that. Whereas in the 3 of the Rider-Waite-Smith with the 3, we have a sense of fruition. It's kind of coming to a little bit of fruition here. Could be fruition in terms of mastery, what you might see in the Pentacles. I've used the Pentacles here because I just find it to be the easiest, the most obvious to see here. I quite like Pentacles in pip decks. So what I really love, where we start to see a little differences, is in the 4. And you can see this 4 configuration, that it speaks stability, right? You just see stable walls of a tower, stable chair legs, stable table legs. And you definitely see it here, as well as sort of roots and things connecting it. Well, because this is Earth also, but we have that sort of interlocking stability here. And so with the Marseille, we do have stability. We have the first realization in the Picard. So I quite like that. And then that's where one of the problem numbers in the Rider-Waite-Smith for me personally, and this is just a personal preference thing, right? It doesn't mean one is right or wrong. It's just how I see them as more here than here. And so for the Rider-Waite-Smith, what's interesting is that a lot of the keywords does say, and a lot of the guidebooks for Rider-Waite-Smith will say stability as a keyword, but then the keyword really that gets used, and I think that the images that get used, not just in the Rider-Waite-Smith, but clones and people that take inspiration from the Rider-Waite, is that idea of miserliness. Now, again, I do think that anything that stays stable too long can, obviously there needs to be movement and flow, which is why we have the next one with activity. So you can go to that, but for that to be the initial thing doesn't quite work with my understanding of numerology. And let me turn WhatsApp off my computer. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, we can definitely see sort of a different meaning kind of coming through here, and I think we'll also starts to shift a little bit here. So in the fives, we have the understanding of disruption, because you can see it, right? You've got 4 stability and then something breaks. If it's a sword, you see a sword kind of ramming up through the middle of it. And so you see something breaking up the stability. With the Picard, he uses the 5 as a sense of activity. There is something happening. There is something moving. Now, could that be very disruptive? Depending, because his suits are more, okay, the swords being negative. Well, we've got negative activity. We've got a growth there, movement in evilness, right? But that can be I really like that idea of just activity, and I love that he has ants on it, because there is that sense of moving and scurrying and getting things done. There's the worker bees, right? There's movement happening. So we again have this idea of things being disrupted. We have idea of activity and movement in the Picard. And then we have the key word for 5s in the Rider-Waite-Smith is uncertainty. So they are feeling uncertain because they are outside of society. They are outside of the structures of society in the 5 of Pentacles. And so that idea of a keyword as uncertainty is quite different, although disruption can lead to uncertainty, right? When you take stability and you disrupt it, you can have uncertainty, but I feel like the idea of either disruption or movement and or activity, those are more neutral, and then depending on the card, depending on the suit, depending on the situation, depending on the question, all that can change depending on that, whereas this does sort of leave that sense of destitution and isolation and withdrawal, right? From the get-go, you're kind of stuck with that image, which is part of the reasons why I really do like PIP style decks, is because of the leaving it open to a combination of, Picard even talks about how, it's not just this is the keyword for this card. Well, that can shift, and he does have those meanings, but you have to, there's a combination going. It might have been Bendov, actually. I don't remember now. I've read so many books. But for me, it's very much, the one single card isn't going to have a definitive meaning that means this no matter what. Otherwise, it really wouldn't work as fluidly. What is the question, right? Who is the questioner? When is this happening? What is the question is so key, because that's really going to change the meaning of it. What is the position that it's in? All those things come together to create a meaning for that particular reading, which is the beauty of tarot, right? So as sometimes when we have decks with scenes, though a specific meaning starts to get built in, and obviously we can read outside of that meaning, but for newer readers, I think it becomes difficult to read outside of it. It is difficult to read outside of that meaning, and so you have to really train your mind to say, okay, this is just one illustration of what this could mean, but there are, there's a lot of other factors going into play, if that makes sense. So then we have the 6s, which has to do with harmony. We have had movement and disruption going on, and now we've got reharmony with the 3+3 that we can see here, which is growth. It's that double growth here. We're growing away from that sense of disruption. I love the Picard 6s because there is a sense of a binary aspect going on. Now, sometimes that's a struggle between two different things that are going on, whereas with the twos for Picard, we have an interaction of energies. With this, there's almost an opposite. There can be an opposition. There can be a binary being set into place, and that can have positive and negative effects, just depending on what's going on. But I really like the binary, and you see this same setup configuration in the Marseille as well. For sixes is also about harmony. The keyword is also about harmony in the Rider-Waite-Smith, just in terms of general numerology. Doesn't mean that this card means harmony. It just means that the number 6 general meaning for Rider-Waite-Smith is to do about harmony, and how in this card they're creating harmony by making sure that who needs it is getting what they need, right? Coming from the sense of uncertainty here, somebody stepping into place to make sure that that's taken care of, which is a beautiful story between these two cards, isn't it? So that would be the sixes. Number 7 is about, then there's new movement. We have the 4 here, which is stability, plus the 3 of growth. And so we've got a new movement forward. Things have kind of reharmonized themselves. And then now we've got a movement forward, right? And you can really see that with the 7s, which is a victory, or which is this sort of things growing, right? There's a binary here that wins. Something is winning over that. That can be evil if it's a negative thing, right? But so then again, you see that growth, that stability, things restabilize, and that allows that growth. And you do see that also in the Rider-Waite-Smith, although the keyword for this is wisdom. But I definitely think of this as a little bit of the patience. You're watching things. He's literally kind of watching things grow here. Then we have the number 8, which is a kind of with the Marseille, with Bendov's Marseille, I should say. And of course, it's really difficult to take somebody's ideas and get it down so closely. But he has the idea of bringing together divisions of twos, right? Kind of bringing that double stability of the double 4s, right? Bringing that together. So you have the 2 times 2 times 2, you have 4 times 2, you have 4 plus 4. You have those ideas bringing together, coming together in the 8s. So we have a bit of a keyword of joined stability. With the Picard, we have a sense of balance. There has been a binary, there has been a growth coming out here with or a victory over whatever that that struggle is, which creates a growing process. And then we again have that sense of balance being restored, which he does with circles. And you can see the circle with the 10 as well. So we have things in balance above and below in a really beautiful picture. Set. I love his shapes. And then in the Rider-Waite-Smith, for 8, which is kind of interesting. The keyword given here is justice, which I think is really interesting. We also have that sense of mastery, right? He is really working on his skills in the Pentacles, obviously. But I found it interesting that the keyword would be justice when for 8, right, which would work with a Marseille style deck that generally has justice at 8 and strength at 11. But Rider-Waite-Smith actually flips those, but then so that's interesting to me. I don't generally think of the keyword of justice for even reading sort of Rider-Waite-Smith ideas of numbers. I think a lot along the lines of the sense of your will, because this is not, I'm not bringing in sort of my personal ones. I'm just kind of showing sort of the 3 basic systems coming from a specific sources. However, we do have, I do keep 8 at justice, and to do with fairness and seeing through to the truth of things, working through emotions. But like for the 8 of Pentacles, you have that sense of, again, artistic mastery. I'm not sure how you would connect that with the understanding of justice. Again, multiple other keywords than just these. I'm just kind of giving this broad scope here, both because I wanted to see them, and once I was going to see them, I thought I might as well run through these basic keywords. So then that moves us to the nines. The nines for Marseille, for Bendov's Marseille, I should say, because there's also many different ways to read Marseille, I'm sure, many different schools of thought. But for the nines, we have dynamic processes because we have 3s plus 3s plus 3. You know, you'd almost like to see 3, 3, and 3. But it is also a breaking in the middle, which happens a lot with Marseille. There is a period of complexity that's going on here, and it's that sense of almost being there. That's how Bendov looks to the nines. So it's that idea of dynamic processes. Again, you've got a movement forward, which you can see, right? Because we had that with that growth here. We have that as well, but it is a little bit more complicated here. And we've got, again, the 4 plus the 5, which I quite like because we have, again, stability, and then we have the activity of the 5. So we got, again, that sense of dynamic things that are happening and moving forward. In that sense, we're almost to that full balance of the 10. The 9 with... and this is the key word for Picard, though. I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting ahead. So we have dynamic processes. We have fruition, that coming to fruition, and then it's going to culminate completely in the 10. We have that sense of changes coming, kind of coming to a plateau of luxury, at least in the pentacles, right? And that leads to that full culmination in the 10 card here. So then in 10s, we have the idea of completion, culmination, reaching a pinnacle. So the 10s are very, very similar, just like the aces. And you can see the connections between all of them. But I just wanted, again, this is just an exercise in something that I was doing. And so I do, if I'm going to have them all laid out in the car, on the table, I might as well walk through it quickly with you. So I have sort of that beginnings and potentials, duality, polarity, movement and growth, stability, a disruption, a harmony that comes after the disruption, some new movement, join stability, dynamic processes, and completion as keywords here, coming again from Bendov and my kind of dissemination of that. Picard, we have the principle or principle energy, interaction, growth, a realization of stability in this particular suit, but it could be something, it'd be just something different in the other. Activity, binary, which can be a struggle, but it's a binary thing set up here with the 3 and 3 reflective of each other. We have a victory and kind of that new growth here. We have a balance. We have coming to full fruition, and then we have a culmination. For Rider-Waite-Smith, we have beginnings, balance. We have the fruition coming with the 3. We have stability. We have uncertainty. We have harmony, wisdom, justice, a change coming, and we have a pinnacle in the 10s. So there you have it. I just wanted to kind of do a quick run through of these so you could see what I was looking at today. So I hope that this has been of interest to you, and I wish you an absolutely wonderful day.